When you got out of prison the first time, you met up with Tammy, and then you had some troubles, and then you guys started using dope again, and then that's when you eventually hooked up with me again.
Yeah.
And at this time, my wife had just gotten diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer, so my life was changing, and it was really dark time in my life. But and besides that, the fluff that we were making is nowhere to be found now because they took the pills off the shelves. By that time, probably been 6 years already. So I'm dealing meth that we got from the cartels. That was piped in through Colorado and then to Minneapolis and then to here. But everything changed. The friendly backyard hanging out in shops and working on stuff, that kind of was gone. And what did you think about that?
Well, the big difference I noticed was I wasn't the main guy anymore. Okay.
Right.
I had to do like everybody else and get it from somebody else, you know. And I made the mistake of having my cousin live in my house with me, and he was getting 10 pounds at a time, you know, from cartel and gunslinging people, you know, shit like that.
Yeah, and at this time you were telling me some stories about this, and and I was trying to help you but stay away from you at the same time, which is a weird spot to be in.
Yeah.
You know? And that plus my wife being sick, and the cops knew I was dealing, and I told you that, you know. Well, you knew that.
Yeah. But they knew what I was doing too, you know.
Yeah.
And they knew what my cousin was doing, because when my cousin was living with me, I went to take a UA one day, and my parole officer looked at me and she goes, "Your cousin's living with you, we know what he's doing, and in fact we're going to raid your house right today." And I looked out, and the sheriffs were all standing there in the hallway of the courthouse in Glenwood, in the sheriff's department, in their technical gear, getting ready to raid my house. She goes, "You either tell your cousin to move out of your house, or we're raiding it. Your choice. But you're going back to jail today. You're going to do violation. You know, we know you're high."
Which is 90 days.
Which was 120 days.
Okay.
And then I did treatment after that. You know? And so I had no choice. I called my mom and dad and I said, "Tell Chris to get out of my house, have him move out right now." I called him and I said, you got to go. You know? They're getting ready to raid the house. You're out. You know?
Yeah. And at this time I had already been raided once, and they didn't find anything, and they just loved tearing apart your house. They love tearing apart your house. They love finding your porn and shit and stacking it all up nice and shit like that.
Taking pictures of it.
They took away my nice knives that I had. I had kind of a knife collection. I never had guns until, well, we'll get to that one. But yeah, it was weird. Believe it or not, by living on this hill, it gave me a huge advantage, a tactical advantage to be able to move around and move around town, and because they couldn't surveillance me from a distance, because I could just slip in the backyard and go through. I could.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gave them problems, put it that way, and being on a hill that's 3 blocks long, I could jump on a little bike and I can be gone, to do this or that and hook up with somebody or this or that. But So it became a game for me, just trying to play this little cat and mouse game with the police. And then one day, I don't know if I told you this before, but I had my son got bit by a dog, by one of my customers' dogs, and I've known him since the second grade. And he got bit by their dog, and my grandma, or my mom, his grandma that lived next door, said, we need the papers that say the dog had rabies shots. They're dragging their feet, and they wouldn't give them, and finally my mom said, if you don't go get them papers today, I'm calling the cops, and I'll let them handle it, I said, don't worry. I jumped on my bike, I cruised down a hill, and they had the papers, but while we were there, we got high, fucked around for an hour, getting high and shit. And when I came home, Mom and Dad, I walked in the house, and they're looking at me like fucking pissed, like the look that you never want to see on your parents' face, And they're like, what's wrong with you guys? And they said, get your family and your dogs, because I was living in their basement, and get the fuck out of my house. You got till Monday. I'm like, whoa, wait, what's going on? Well, while I was down there, she did call the cops, and the cop come up, and the cop said, well, where's Joe now? And she said, well, he's down at so-and-so's house getting the papers. And she goes, oh, he's with him? Well, don't expect him back too soon, because they're probably out getting high. And my mom's like, excuse me, what, do you know my son? He goes, oh yeah, we all know your son. He's been running around town selling drugs up and down these streets for a long time. And I'm like, what? I'm trying to lie my way out of it. Like, what? And you believe him? And they're like, well, why wouldn't we? I go, because they're just out to get me, or I don't know what I said, But anyways, that night I jumped on my bike. I coasted down to the drugstore and got a drug test, and I came back, and I had Devin, my son, who's about 8 at the time, piss in a cup. I said, I'm going to go get a drug test, I said to my wife, and have him piss in his cup. I'll be right back. So then that evening, Dad was in his room upstairs, and he come walking out, and I was in the kitchen in my boxer shorts, and he's going, what are you doing? And I go, well, I got this drug test. I'm going to prove to you that I'm clean and I don't do drugs. And oh yeah. So I went into the bathroom. I come out, and just like a light switch, he was, now Mom and Dad are on my side. I didn't have to move out, and that was, at that time, it was me saying fuck you to the cops. Now a normal person that wasn't on drugs would say, fuck this, I'm done, right? But no, when you're on meth, it empowers you, like the motherfuckers. Oh, now you feel unstoppable, because I'm gonna just, now it's me against the cops. So now it's on, motherfuckers. That's the way the meth mind works. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
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 And so then I went on another tear for another, how many years?
And every time I get stopped or something like that there, and they searched and they couldn't find nothing because I had it hid so well, or
yeah, you would think the normal person would go, I'm done. But no.
They're stupid, I can get by with this,
Yeah, you say, the fuckers. Or what I thought is God's looking out for me. Or some stupid shit,
I always thought I was too slick,
Yeah, I'm righteous,
yeah.
Or some shit. So you always got a way to justify your means, and it's, but yeah. So anyways, moving forward, and then my wife gets sick, and at this time I was picking up an ounce at a time and just pushing 8 balls, and that's about where I was at. And then you and your cousin were doing your thing, and we were just running around like fucking crazy, me and you, and then I was dealing with people who were really scary, They're just, And it's like, how the fuck did I end up here? You know, what is going on? What happened to my old buddies? You know, some of them died, some of them went to prison, some of them got clean. Not very many got clean, but yeah. And did you think the same thing? Like, what the fuck? How do you get back to working on trucks again, or?
I always maintained a job. You know,
Yeah.
I always had a job. But
See, okay, I gotta add one thing. When my wife got sick, okay, Mom and Dad would say, like, are you gonna get a job, or are you gonna do some temp jobs or something? And I, being the stupid fucker that I was at the time, I'd say stuff like, my wife is sick, she needs me here at home. You know, that was my justification for that bullshit. So I'd sit in the garage and sell dope, but I was home in case she in case she needed me. I was home. But you know, and then as time goes on, you know, you have these thoughts like, did I do that because I didn't want to get a job, or did I do that because I really wanted to help her if she needed help? You know what I mean? The second guessing is like a constant thing when you're on meth. If you have a conscience, you know. If you don't, like some of the people we ran with, they didn't have thoughts like that. They didn't give a fuck about anything except getting dope and stealing and
Right.
fucking doing you dirty, doing him dirty, stealing their grandpa's gun collection. Fuck, I don't know, you know.
it'll be guys you've known for years, buddies of yours, and then all of a sudden they're stealing from you. You know, it's like, what?
Yeah.
You know, if they'd asked, you give it to them, but then all of a sudden they're stealing it from you to pay for their habit. It's like,
Yeah, because
ridiculous.
they would you let them into your garage, and then they would steal a tool from you, which you would have gave to them, but then it doesn't end there. You want to talk about a mini ripple effect? Is when you go look for your tool, and you can't find your fucking tool, and you think you're going nuts because the tool ain't there, and it's like, what the fuck, you know? And then you find out later you're walking in someone's garage, and it's like, there's that metal funnel that I had. Where'd you get that? And he won't fess up to it. He'll say, oh, I got it from so and so. Well, now, did he really get it from so and so, or did he just steal it? And it's chaos. It's total chaos.
Well, it's like I told you once before, my own wife would take stuff of mine and sell it to her ex-husband. You know? What? Why? You know, it's just the dirty shit that they do when they're on drugs, you know?
And some of them fucking steal from one friend and put it in another friend's garage.
Right.
To fucking fuck with them. To turn him against him and this and that. Just because that guy was maybe his right-hand man. And he didn't like that, so he wanted to ease in on him. It was all dirty fucking...
I was dating this one chick, and a couple people called, wanted to ride to Little Falls to get a vehicle that they were buying on a deal. So I let him and his girlfriend in the back of my Ford Explorer, and we went up to Little Falls to drop him off his vehicle, and this chick I was dating, she was mad about it, just mad. Anytime there was another female in my vehicle, she was just mad about something, you know. Well, we got up there, and the vehicle that they were picking up hadn't been running in a while, so they had to put a battery in it and all kinds of stuff like that there. And I was kind of going to help them out a little bit, you know. But the chick I was dating got so mad and so vulgar about, you know, this and that, and I just wanted to get rid of the whole scene, so I told them, we're leaving, you know, I gotta go, you know. Well, that other chick had left her purse or her wallet or something in my vehicle along with her phone in the back seat and the pouch of the passenger seat in my vehicle. So we're driving down the highway coming back to St. Cloud, and all of a sudden her phone rings. And I'm looking like, what the hell? And the chick I'm with, she reached in the back and got that phone and found the wallet there. And I said, put it back, you know, because she actually was going to throw it out the window and stuff. I said, put it back, you know. These are friends of mine. Put it back. You're not going to destroy it. You're not going to throw it out the window. You're not going to do anything like that. They're going to get it back, you know. Well, I went to the Quick Trip, stopped at Quick Trip, and I went in there and I was going to use the bathroom, buy a pop, whatever, you know. And when I'm in the bathroom, she calls me, and she's doing something goofy. I could hear her rumbling, you know, doing something goofy, and I'm thinking, okay, I gotta go out here and check this out. So I quick get out the door, and she's outside, and she's got that wallet in her hand, you know. I said, put that shit back, you know. I'm telling you, you put it back, or I'm gonna be pissed off, you know. So she puts it back, stuff like that. We get out to this other dude's place when we meet these people up again, you know, right? Give them their stuff back, give her her phone, stuff like that, and her wallet, stuff like that. A couple days later, she's telling me, she goes, yeah, my credit card's gone, my ID's gone, everything like that there. And I'm going like, what? And so I asked this other chick I'm dating, I said, where's that stuff at? Well, I don't know. You know, somebody else must have took it out of your vehicle, you know, or it wasn't in there at all, you know. Well, she finally fessed up about 2 weeks later that she'd taken the shit out of there, and she burnt it in the dude's wood stove when we got out there, you know. She just,
Yeah.
you know, just for aggravation.
Out of spite.
You know, out of spite, because in the drug world, I mean, everybody's fucking everybody,
Yeah.
you know, and I mean, I wasn't screwing the other chick or anything like that. I mean, she was my buddy's girlfriend.
Right.
Why would you, you know, you just make me look bad, you know. But
Right.
they think about that kind of crap. They just want to do something dirty to somebody else all the time, you know.
Yeah.